start recording. We'll start policy. It's 5:32. Okay, so you brought back the uniform grievance. Okay, let's go here. Now, what were we working on last week? Because we didn't get through.
We were working on all of the 32 something, the behavior plans.
Right, but we had gotten through them, and then there was,
We didn't start on any other one, I don't think.
Well, I know we ended
there was
early,
stuff on the agenda
but
that we didn't
yeah.
talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's just all of that. Yeah, I don't think we had time to start on anything.
So let's pull this out. Go to the lovely double attempt of double screen. So, it is the board's desire that complaints, grievances, concerns from all persons be an orderly process within which solutions may be pursued. The process should provide prompt and equitable resolution at the lowest possible administrative level, and an opportunity for orderly presentation and review of complaints without fear of reprisal. I don't like that. So the process should provide prompt and equitable resolution at the lowest possible administrative level, and maybe provide an assurance and opportunity for provide an opportunity for orderly presentation and review of complaints. Because I don't know that you can assure that, but what do you think?
Megan's suggestions are also at the bottom.
And an opportunity, yeah, you can't assure that.
Right, and provide an opportunity for orderly
Presentation of review complaints without fear. And that takes in what the admin recommended.
And then Megan's suggestions are at the bottom.
Right.
And then Rusty's has Megan's woven into it.
Right, and it's the disadvantage is you don't know what it is in his portion other than he's just added language. So they're over here. So what if I copy this? Alright, so then is Megan going in order? Under procedure, which he struck out, right? Yeah. Okay. I recommend clarifying that this grievance procedure is not to be used on matters involving personal grievances and or student grievances, which may result in due process decisions before the board. Nor does this process supersede any other policy or process addressing a more specific type of complaint, such as student discipline. Okay, so should be followed if an individual believes the board, its employees, or agents have violated the rights as guaranteed by state and federal constitutions, state and federal statutes, or board policy. If a complaint is filed, it will be addressed promptly and equitably. The right of a person to a resolution of the complaint filed shall not be impaired by the person's pursuit of other remedies. Use of this procedure does not extend any filing deadline related to any other remedies. Alright, so Megan. So this is should be followed. So this, I think.
Yeah.
Alright, so
Does
this
not apply or
Well-
is not used, yeah.
Hi Rebecca.
Good night, guys.
Good night. So this grievance procedure, should be these grievance procedures, cause there's multiple steps, is there not?
Well, but it's, depending on how the steps are laid out.
Well,
If it's first this, that's one, that's
yeah.
that's all part of the
Okay.
procedure, it's one procedure, it just
Doesn't
has
the-
multiple steps to it.
Procedure need to be in a different thing anyway, since procedures are policies.
Yes. But this is part of the uniform grievance procedure is the title of the policy.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I think they differentiated, I mean, we could line that out since this whole thing is a procedure.
I think that's probably why it might have been taken out of trustees instead of this.
Maybe, there's no explanation, so I don't know.
Yep, do we need to call it policy rather than procedure? I guess,
You know, I do believe it would be better if it were called policy, not procedure. And then,
used interchangeably in the past, and it's not truly what it is.
no, and then people get frustrated and they
Mhm.
don't understand and then they get mad
And then under separate,
well,
you would
this-
delineate the one, step 1, 2, 3, 4 as procedure, wouldn't you?
well, that would then be the procedure.
Mm-hmm.
So this maybe
Then-
should be
Mhm.
on, and we could control C this and put it here. Method to the madness. Strike it here. So then this whole thing talks about the whole policy.
Right, and then
So-
there would say this
I-
grievance
well,
policy.
So it is board's desire that complaints, grievances, and concerns from all persons be an orderly process within which solutions may be pursued. The process should provide prompt and equitable resolution at the lowest possible administrative level and provide an opportunity for orderly presentation and review of complaints without fear of reprisal. This could be struck. So if an individual believes that the board, its employees, or agents have violated the rights as guaranteed by the state or federal constitution, state or federal statutes, or board policy,
That's an incomplete sentence right there.
you are correct.
Hanging. Maybe when an individual believes?
Well, I was gonna do
Maybe
if
then that's-
then, I was gonna say
yeah,
then,
okay.
the following, procedures should be applied.
Followed.
Oh, there we go, okay. Alright, so then, going into what Megan has said, this, I don't know that that's accurate. It should be this policy.
Yeah.
Is not to be used on matters involving personnel grievances. So this policy does not apply to personnel
Yeah.
matters. This policy does not apply to personnel matters. Or student. Okay, so personnel grievances is better.
Mm-hmm. Or personnel and or student grievances. Or just use and. And then go or.
Oh wait, no, okay. So, as those matters,
It results in
right,
due process decisions before the board.
so, does that flow? If an individual believes that the board, its employees, or agents have violated their rights as guaranteed by the state or federal constitutions, state or federal statutes, or board policy, then the following procedures should be applied. This policy does not apply to personnel and student grievances, as those matters may result in due process decisions before the board, nor does this, what did I miss? Whoopsies.
Supersede any of the.
And Tanya, thank you for coming back. It's so exciting. Okay. This policy does not apply to personnel and student grievances, as those matters may result in due process decisions before the board. Because we can't make the decision without the hearing, so we have to have the hearing. May result in due process hearings and decisions before the board. Nor does this process supersede any other policy or process addressing a more specific type of complaint, such as student discipline. Okay. Does that sound better?
So, do you want at the top, do you want it to say the very first paragraph, sorry?
This one?
Yeah, it is the board's desire. Do you want it to say the Board of Trustees? I know you were.
Yeah, I just want consistency, which,
Yeah.
in all fairness, it's not consistent throughout our policies.
Okay.
Sometimes it's Board of Trustees, sometimes it's
Yeah, I
board.
noticed you corrected those last time. so.
Yeah. Technically, what we're supposed to do is do that, so that
Yeah, cause then when you call it board, going
you
forward.
can go back and know
specify
where it's
it.
at.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be in the policies. So, okay, so it is the Board of Trustees' desire that complaints, grievances, and concerns from all persons be an orderly process within which solutions may be pursued. The process should provide prompt and equitable resolution at the lowest possible administrative level and provide an opportunity for orderly presentation and review of complaints without fear of reprisal. If an individual believes that the board, its employees, or agents, that just seems weird.
Well, it would be.
somewhere that defines what their agents are?
I know,
Yeah.
that's, yeah, so I think if an individual believes that,
May you volunteer?
Or somebody who's sub,
basically, it's, if anyone
Contracted.
thinks that anyone within the walls of the district, be it staff member, board member, administrative personnel, or student, or a classroom volunteer, has violated their right, then they have the right to pursue a grievance against them. But how can we word that in as few words as possible?
well, I think.
To
you know,
be as
agent-
inclusive.
Agent seems vague, but at the same time,
What if we do this, that, their rights have been or violated which are, I don't know if that's right.
I almost think if an individual believes that their rights as guaranteed, or have been violated as guaranteed by state or federal, you could move into just that.
yeah.
Okay.
Which are,
Cause by you striking that, it makes it very
Okay.
clear.
So,
your rights have been
so,
Rights
so
have been violated,
the
rights
right-
violated as guaranteed, so then cross out the
Mhm.
rights.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed by state.
have been violated, yeah, as guaranteed by state or federal constitutions, state or federal statutes or board policy, then the following, what am I gonna call it, procedures, the following, process should be applied, because up here we talk about it as a process.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're gonna make it a process. Alright, so this policy does not apply to personnel and student grievances, as those matters may result in due process hearings and decisions before the board, nor does this process supersede any other policy or process addressing a more specific type of complaint, such as student discipline. Or we could also say Title IX violation, I mean, there's a whole bunch
I
of
was
other
gonna
stuff.
say, do you need to add such as student discipline?
I don't think so.
Can it just be a more specific
Um,
type? It just seems like added words.
We're exampling for them, but I don't know that we need to. Process addressing a more specific type of complaint. Okay. If a complaint is filed, it will be addressed promptly and equitably. The right of a person to a resolution of the complaint filed shall not be, okay, so here's what I don't, know how to, okay. Then here, because up here, we're giving 3 things, a complaint, a
Mhm.
grievance, and a concern. Because some concerns don't rise to the level of a complaint or a grievance, some complaints aren't necessarily grievances, but they're above a concern, so it's
Yep.
like, and then we fall back always on complaints.
Mhm.
So, I think that, would that help?
Mhm.
Okay.
Unless you wanna add all 3 of those words in every.
Well,
So complaint.
or instead of complaint, we just convert it to grievance, because it's the uniform grievance policy.
Oh, that's true.
Because, so, or we do this, because if you're doing it in, I mean, this
In
is
order.
lowest,
In
medium,
order.
high,
Mhm.
so then we could call it grievance and it won't look weird.
Need a space between common and complaints coming. Or-
Thank you. And concerns or grievance from all persons, okay. So then we'll just go this way. Control C. Administrative level of review of a grievance without fear of reprisal. Believes that the rights have been violated, guaranteed, then the following process should be applied. This policy does not apply to personnel or student grievances, as those matters may result in a due process hearing or in due process hearings and decisions before the board, nor does this process supersede any other policy or process addressing a more specific type of complaint. Should that say grievance?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let me, where was it? Up here. Okay.
Grievance.
Is filed, it will be addressed promptly and equitably. The right of a person, a resolution of the grievance filed shall not be impaired by the person's pursuit of other remedies, use of this. Does not extend any filing deadlines related to any other remedies. Actually, I can make that go away and we'll just put process. All right. Okay, step one. An individual with a grievance will first discuss it with the staff member involved with the objective of resolving the matter promptly. An exception is that complaints of sexual harassment should be discussed with the building administrator that is not involved in the alleged harassment. Okay. Step two. Okay, so this is not what they did, right? No, okay. So if, under 2, Megan is saying, under the paragraph addressing Title IX and other complaints, we recommend the following changes. Complaints alleging violation of Title IX or disability accommodations must be processed according to the applicable policies. See policy 4150 regarding disability accommodations for individuals and policy whatever regarding sexual discrimination. I only see Title IX non-discrimination policies under the students section, which purports to address students, staff, faculty, volunteers, and board members. Title IX would protect any patron interacting with the district in one of its benefits, privileges, or activities from discrimination on the basis of sex. I recommend either expanding 3085 to include all persons or to add a new policy briefly acknowledging this is in the 400s or 4000s addressing the public at large. Okay, yeah, that is a thing. So possibly we need to create a policy under 4000s. Okay.
That seems to make it more complicated.
Not necessarily.
No?
The 3000s are specific. What am I doing?
You keep going to the main district side.
This is what I want. Oops, I was on the bus, we're still going around. So what she's saying is under community, we don't have a policy respective to discrimination, sexual discrimination.
Uniform grievance procedure.
Is not specific to a
That's it.
Title IX violation because
Okay.
those have, a Title IX violation has specific components that must be met in order to qualify for Title IX, for a Title IX violation. Public access. Public conduct. Relations with law, child protected, that is the dumbest title. What does that policy even mean?
Another day.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's go down this squirrel
Down
rabbit
the squirrel.
hole. Volunteers, okay, cause under students. Okay, Title IX, sexual harassment procedure requirements and definitions. This applies to all students, staff, faculty, approved volunteers, and board members. Well, we could just, oh, that's the P. I thought I went to 5. No, there we are. Purpose of this policy is to promote working and learning environments that are free from sex and gender harassment, discrimination, and retaliation, and to affirm the Lakeland School District's commitment to non-discrimination, equity, in education, and equal opportunity for employment. Okay, so the purpose of it, and it's in students, that's weird. This policy applies to all students, staff, faculty, approved volunteers, and board members. It has to apply to the community as well. So, we,
Check that in there and.
yeah, why don't you put 3085 and 3085P on the list to readdress? And can you make a note, so that I can bring it to the board's attention to find out if they're agreeable to just tweaking this policy to accommodate the public, or if they feel it needs a public policy, a policy specific to public peoples, not student, staff, and within the district, but protects outside of the district.
Yeah, so you take it, it applies in 3,000, it applies in 4,000.
Right, right. Cause I do think that's a good point that Megan brought up. Oh, let me go back to here. This one over here, okay. So, level 2 does not require a written report for policy or non-discrimination violations, but implies that the same exists in level 3. I recommend adding a sentence to the first paragraph of level 2 that provides, the principal will provide parties with written notice of the decision if either party is not satisfied. Okay, so let's see what we say in level 2. If a complaint is not resolved in step 1 with the staff member involved, the individual should reach out to the building administration for assistance in resolving, not complaint, grievance. Cause we added this language.
Yeah, and then you got
Involved,
there.
Yeah,
okay.
There's a lot more.
There's a lot of them there.
Oh, love it.
Ba-doink.
Grievance alleges a violation of board policy or procedure. The building administration shall investigate and attempt to resolve the grievance. If either party is not satisfied with the building administration's decision, the grievance may advance to step 3 by requesting in writing that the superintendent review the building administration's decision. The written request must include the nature of the complaint, the remedy requested. The request must be signed, dated, and submitted to the superintendent within 5 working days of the building administration's decision. Okay, so she's saying the principal will provide parties with written notice. Okay, so I get what she's saying. So, okay, grievance, the building administration will investigate, et cetera. Okay, if either party is not, okay, alright, so then. She's saying is the building administration will provide written notice of
Grievance and initial resolution.
Decision of the grievance. So the building administration will provide written notice of the decision, of the grievance. It's a lot of those. Okay, the building administration will provide a written notice, to the, parties, is that what we're calling them, in the, up there? It says individual, Lord, individual, who may file is that flow better? So yeah, right. With the staff member involved, the individual should reach out to the building administration for assistance in resolving the grievance. If the grievance alleges a violation of board policy or procedure, the building administration shall investigate and attempt to resolve the grievance. The building administration will provide written notice to the individual who filed the grievance of the decision. If either party is not satisfied with the building administration's decision, the grievance may advance to step 3 by requesting in writing that needs to go away. Requesting in writing, the superintendent review the building administration's decision. The written request must include the nature of the grievance and the remedy requested. The request must be signed, dated, and submitted to the superintendent within 5 working days of the building administration's decision. Okay. If the complaint alleges a violation of Title IX, Title III, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, or sexual harassment, the building administration shall turn the complaint over to the appropriate district administrator, who shall investigate the complaint as a grievance. But it is a grievance.
Yeah.
It should just be,
It just
who
says
shall
shall
investigate
the grievance.
Yeah.
An investigation will be completed and a report will be filed with the superintendent within 30 working days after receipt of the written grievance. Okay, this I think needs to have Brooks review because there are procedural steps that were not done that she's fully aware of now that need to be done. So I want to make sure that this language supports what has to be done.
Didn't she come to a meeting when we covered this?
I don't know.
It's been a while.
It's been
a while, but
long while.
I know she came to a meeting and this, we did discuss this particular.
Right, but
just to
I
make
am
sure.
fully aware that she was just brought on board with some processes and steps that are required. So I want to make sure that this is in line with that, because this is actually Title IX coordinator. Because the Title IX coordinator is actually Title IX coordinator. Who shall investigate the grievance. The investigation will be completed and the report will be filed with the superintendent within 30 working days after receipt of the written grievance. The should be this one. Just do that. outside and hire an outside investigator if necessary. The superintendent agrees with the recommendation within the report, the recommendation will be implemented. The superintendent rejects the recommendation and or either party is not satisfied with the recommendation from the report. Either party may make a written appeal within 15 working days of receiving the report to the Board of Trustees for a hearing. Alright, so she's saying, because are we involved or we are? Okay, step 2. Level 2 does not require a written, oh, okay, that was the first thing, alright.
Should there be a time frame? So there's a lot of time frames in here, but there's not a time frame for the building administrator to
Get
issue
back.
a decision.
Okay, good point.
But it's,
No, that's on the Title IX violation. Up
no,
here.
but up there, it says 5 days, 5
That's
days.
at the end of it, but for them to actually, like, I think.
That's if they wanna take it to the next level. If they're not happy with what the building principal said and they wanna involve the superintendent, they have 5 days after they got their notice from the principal.
But if
So
somebody
I
files a
do-
grievance.
Right, which up here. Well,
It's just in a time.
I don't even know. This is 4120, right? Yeah, that'll need to change the policy. Well, we don't even have a grievance form. If we do, it should be on the website. See, we don't even have that. So, let's, we should have a form for someone if they've got a grievance, and because we're telling them, you know, then you need to submit it in writing, but we're not even giving them a form to do that. And so, if it's more of a, I mean, cause even if you go to the first person, say you're a parent who's upset with something the teacher's done, you go to the teacher and you're like, hey, I don't like what you did with my little Johnny, and the teacher's like, well, let me share it with you, what happened, blah, blah, blah. And then the parent's like, I don't care, my little Johnny's an angel. Then they're gonna go, the parent's gonna go to the building principal and be like, my little Johnny's an angel, and the teacher's wrong. Fix it. So nothing's written down or documented that this has occurred.
Right.
So, but,
Except that every teacher documents.
No, I understand that.
But it's just not a
But
formal,
if there
it's
is
not
a
necessarily a
formal form,
Right.
then it helps keep a paper trail.
Exactly.
And that parent, if it's open-ended to where an admin says, okay, I'm gonna look into this and then I'll get back to you.
Right.
And maybe it's been 3 days and the parent's ripping their hair out saying, I'm like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you looking into it? If there was a time frame that they can say, hey, within, 5 business days or whatever, then at least there would be that fallback saying, hey, we are looking into it. We have the 5 business
Right.
days, something like that. Because
Right.
the admin all have time frames on getting back to them on the later steps.
Well, it doesn't, until it escalates up to the superintendent, it's like there's no crisis or hurry mode.
Right.
Which, it shouldn't be that way. It should always be that if there's a complaint or a grievance, then we're gonna try and do what we can to resolve it quickly. Which I do believe that is the processes that we use. But it would be good if it was supported in the policy saying, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But, cause if they're supposed to first discuss it with the staff member involved,
Yeah,
nothing's being written down.
So if you.
Because you're trying to keep you're starting it out as informal as possible.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
But then if you're going to drag the building principal in, there's still no documented paper trail until the building principal makes his decision. So you don't necessarily, and where is he doing this, or she? There's no form. So, it seems like there should be, once you're going to the building principal, I do think you need to be like, hey, this has happened, and submitting something to them
Mhm.
so that they know when it happened, when you.
What steps you've already taken.
Exactly.
Did you meet with the?
Right, met with so-and-so on this
Uh-huh.
day, and the teacher says, you know, my little Johnny was being not so good, but I don't agree. And so I want you to watch the video, or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, I think it would be prudent to be able to establish a paper trail for the benefit of the district, because if that parent gets really upset and is like, you people are dragging your feet, but there's no documented evidence saying, look, I let you know this date, that date, whatnot. And from a building administrator side, I would think they would know, but if they've gotten 7 or 8 complaints on a specific teacher, but there's nothing to support it,
Mhm.
how can they go help that teacher, be like, hey, seems to be a pattern here, how can I help you, let's, trying to build it on the positive for that teacher, because maybe that teacher doesn't realize.
They may already have a form like that though.
Well,
What
if
else do
above,
they use internally?
yeah, it might be, so if we go back up into what the policy is stating,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying it is for their rights being violated.
Right.
Which, but it's, and we
Or
earlier, we took
board
the language out
policy.
that specifically not, as, for example, not student discipline, so.
But if I'm a parent and my little Johnny comes home and says, my teacher spit on me or whatever, and it was that the teacher sneezed, where it's a huge stretch. I watch too much of the
Mhm.
Burnt Out Teacher.
Yeah.
But, she cracks me up. But my point is that the bottom, yes, it's their state or federal constitution, state or federal statutes, but also board policy. So if our board policy says that, you are required to have me opt in if you want my child to participate in this, I never got the opt-in form, and my kid's participating, well, you've violated board policy. And if you go to the teacher and the teacher's like, well, it's just what we do, well, that's not a good enough solution. So then you go to the building principal and you're like, hey, I didn't get the opt-in form. Policy's been violated here. It's a grievance.
Yeah. And it's
But-
bigger than just a behavioral
Correct.
issue, so something like this should
It's a
have
policy.
Yeah.
a proper form
Correct.
for documentation.
I agree. And if there is one internally, like you're saying, kudos to them, but we're not offering anything to the parent that's
Yeah.
been aggrieved. So we should have a 4120P that just basically states, nature of the grievance, your name, date,
Very
time,
simple, but
place.
it's,
Yeah,
but it's recorded.
it is. It should be the first or the second should be part of step 2. No, I don't think I think step 1 is appropriate in the sense if I'm the parent, you're the teacher, and I just come to you and I'm like, what the heck? I never said yes. And you resolve it by saying, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I thought I had one for your child. To me, that's a resolve, because I've come and I've expressed myself to you, you've acknowledged, oopsied, and we move forward. Now, not all parents will be like that, but do you get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It doesn't have to rise to the point of the principal
Right,
unless
right.
I feel like, well, that's just not a good enough excuse. And I'm gonna take it to the principal, well, then I need to fill it out and say, this is what's happened, this is what I tried, and this is what I'm not happy with. So that they can look into it and find out that, maybe you had a substitute in your class that day, or, which supports a little bit more of why the policy may have gotten violated inadvertently. It wasn't
Mhm.
intentional.
Right, right.
And so we're just document. As teachers,
So
to
at
do
that,
that,
at
but
that principal point is where
a form
we
would
need
be
to have
filled
it
out.
down.
Yeah.
And maybe that's,
Because then the principal can attach his decision
Mhm.
to the form, because both of those should go back to the parent. And then if the parents got a concern over that and
This
they
is
wanna
what
go
you
to the
said the concern
superintendent.
was, and this is
That's
what-
right.
Yeah.
And there's a documented, look, I gave it to the principal on the 3rd, I got my thing back on the 5th, so now I have until the 10th to know that I can get
Yeah.
something to you, which would then help the superintendent, because if it's the 10th and then the parent gets another burr up their butt on the 31st, because we don't have 40 days a month, but on the 31st, and decides they're gonna come again, it's like, well, you missed your window of opportunity.
Mhm.
You know, we're going to support what the principal's done because they followed the timelines. You did not.
Yeah,
So I think it's a check and balance on both sides
It
of the
is.
fence.
Mhm.
yes.
So, okay.
So in there,
Step 2,
it's not resolved.
should,
Should complete.
policy 4120P and, provide,
Complete policy or form?
oh yeah, it's a F, not a P.
Yes, form.
And, provide, the form to the building administration for assistance in resolving the grievance.
You have 2 twos.
Oh, yeah, this could be,
Two twos.
we want to dance. Okay, alright, so if a grievance is not resolved in step 1 with the staff member involved, the individual should complete policy 4120F, a grievance form, and provide the form to the building administration for assistance in resolving the grievance. If the grievance alleges a violation of board policy or procedure, the building administration shall investigate and attempt to resolve the grievance. Now, what if it doesn't violate board policy? What if it violates the law? What are they gonna do?
Well, a violation of board policy.
Or procedure, then they can,
Or state or federal statutes, the building administration shall investigate.
attempt to resolution. So-
Honestly, I think this should go away. It should just be, the building administration shall investigate and attempt to resolve the grievance.
Yeah,
What does it matter what it violates?
And if it's
Because
because
if
their
it's-
attempt is also reaching out to the proper
authorities.
authorities if need be.
Right,
So, yeah.
and then, I mean,
Mhm.
I know that if they felt it was out of their wheelhouse, they would immediately loop the superintendent in and be like, hey,
Mhm.
we have a friendly front situation here.
Yeah.
And attempt to
Notice
resolve
the
it.
individual who filed the grievance, who filed the grievance. And there you could put in that time limit. But it says there.
Right, okay, so the building administration will provide written notice to the individual who filed the grievance of their decision.
Within
That's, yeah.
5 working days.
How many?
I don't know, I'm just, 5, does that seem
I would
reasonable?
say 5 working to match the
To match-
5 of the
match what the-
superintendent.
There we go.
What the individual has to do if they want to take it further.
Yeah,
They've got 5 days to turn it around.
right, cause if they get something on a Thursday, Saturday and Sunday, they're not gonna be
Yeah.
doing anything, so, okay. 5 working days. If either party is not satisfied with the building administration's decision, the grievance may advance to step 3 by requesting in writing the superintendent review the building administration's decision. The written request must include the nature, okay, so this should be part of the form. So here's so this right here should be part of the form.
It
Because
But make
seriously.
part of this, I mean, it could be like, only to be completed, cause you wouldn't always need that
Mm.
as well. If it's taken care of within the first 2 steps, then you don't need
But we're
anything
having them
else.
fill out another form. That's what cause it's saying a written request.
Yeah, it's a
Needs to
written
go to the
request.
superintendent. But it should just be that, the form and the building principals, you know, whatever,
What you really want is the form to be, interactive in a way.
right.
So it's sent to the principal adds to it, says
Right.
this is what, you know, this is what my decision is. Share it back with the parent, and the parent says, no, not going for that.
Well, it could be, I mean, it could be kind of
If it,
it could be a 2-page document, it could be
Yeah.
the grievance, what you've done with, you know, step 1, this is who
Mhm.
I contacted and this is what, and so on this, you know, I'm giving it to the building principal, and so then the building principal's investigation, and they fill out what they did and what their decision is.
it's a running document.
Yeah, and then on the second page, it's like, request for the superintendent would be, just that, you know,
You could just add that blurb at the top of it, please write the nature of the grievance, the remedy requested. And then give
Yeah.
them that blank form where they would write those things. You know what I mean, like
Right.
on page 2,
Leave
you-
it, yeah, open.
you could just have the written request must include, and then that information, and then let them have the page to write.
what is, so the 2-page form, basically, page 1 is the grievance, page 2 is the, request for review with the information on it.
Yeah,
Because the building principal, cause they're going to return their
Mhm.
form to them with their,
They've decided.
Decision.
their decision on it.
Mhm.
And then on page 2 would be, you know, superintendent request for review. So all of the dates, the times, the places, everything's already on a form.
and it just continues to grow if needed, but it all
Mhm.
stays together.
It's all
the
together.
same. Yeah.
Right.
That's good. And easy, clean.
And everybody gets a copy of it
Yeah.
along the way, who needs it. So initially, it's just
The parent writing.
the parent, the public, whoever's sending that to the principal, and it goes back to that individual. And then at that point, I'm sure it goes back to the principal and the superintendent if that's what they decide.
So,
So a lot of this is in the form.
right,
How's
where,
the form set up?
yeah, which we don't have a form, so Sierra's working on it frantically over here.
She's participating in a different way.
Yeah, so they may advance to step 3. So maybe the form, the grievance form would be step 1, showing, you know, the the grieved party's name and the staff member that they tried to work it out with, and what the grievance was.
Mhm.
And then step 2 is date, spoke with the building administrator. And then, because I mean, you're going to have to acknowledge step 1 to go to step 2, so.
And that, so step 1, part of the form then would really be done with the staff member and the person bringing the complaint, the initial.
No, it's just done by the person that's making the grievance, because they're only filling out step 1 if they have to advance to step 2.
like my parent
Oh, yeah,
name.
I already.
Cause if they, if
I
I
brought this- I
resolve
brought this to
it,
so-and-so,
Mhm.
and this is what she said, I want you to take it up.
right.
Yeah, I met with them on this date.
Right, because in a sense, you kind of have to prove your step one, that you accomplished it, and you didn't get the result you wanted. So now you're going to step two, which involves a form. And on the form, we have step one. What's your name and who are you mad at, and why? And so you fill that all in, and then
What they
step
didn't-
two.
Didn't do about it.
Yeah, exactly. And then step two is building principal or building administration, you know, they would have to put their name in and their investigation of the allegations, cause then that way the allegations can't necessarily change of,
Mhm.
you know, what you're aggrieved against. So then they're gonna fill that in and, the investigation and then decision. And then page two, superintendent review, you know,
Mhm.
which should basically just have, it should say why you are not in agreement with the decision and what, remedy you're requesting. That should be on the form.
Mhm.
I don't think that needs to be in here.
Yeah, and I think
yeah.
that's incredibly important because you can't change it. Sometimes also people will write it down and realize maybe it's not
Right.
as important
Maybe
when
I'm
they're,
making a
when they're
bigger
getting,
deal.
yeah. But also just to have like, you know, you get in those kind of heated things, especially when it comes to kids.
Yep.
And your own kids, and it's like, well, what do you want us to do?
Right.
So for them to have to put it down, like,
Mhm.
I would like to see these steps taken or this to happen,
Mhm.
it's easier to then have a conversation knowing what their expectations are.
Yeah, I mean, because sometimes parents just want to vent about what they
Mhm.
think is a wrong, and sometimes that teacher's not in the mood to hear the parent vent because that teacher's dealt with a lot that day.
Mhm.
But the parent doesn't know that, and the teacher's not able to accommodate what the parent means. So then this festering things get bigger.
Yeah.
And then when the parent finally is like, I'm writing this down, and then maybe their voice of reason might come back and be like, that's pretty petty of me.
Yeah.
And you know, you never know. Maybe the teacher will get a coffee the next day from that parent. You never know. But emotions and feelings get in the mix.
Yes.
But when you have to write it down and you
It
have to
helps.
read it and then you have to take it to the principal that, you know, she ate my cookies, that's, you know,
Yeah.
so.
So will this form be something that is sent to the principal electronically, or has to be printed out and physically brought to the building?
I
mean,
think
is that
it can be
something that-
both. I think there needs to be a paper copy, and there has to be, I think the buildings should have a paper copy of the grievance procedures, or the grievance form.
Mhm.
Because if a parent's like, I did this, and they wanna do it right away, they need to have it there, because they're not gonna have the computer. But I mean, majority of parents, everything's done on their phone,
Mhm.
so I do think there needs to be an electronic copy. But I think, honestly, I think if you're gonna elevate something to the level of a principal, it should be a face-to-face, not just an email they get going, oh, great, some parent's upset, now I gotta do something about it, and they've never talked to the parent. Cause some building administrators
Yeah,
can just calm the whole situation down and make the parent happy.
Yeah.
which, you know, once they get that form, then they can make that contact.
Right.
It's-
Well, true, but I think, I don't think the
I'm all
burden
about,
should be on
yes,
the
they
principal,
They
though.
should go and,
I think the burden should be on the parent, because I'm sorry, if you've done something wrong against my kiddos, I'm going to be at your doorstep, I'm not gonna wait for you to come to me. And I don't know that it should be the burden of the principal to resolve somebody else's grievance because they don't wanna come in, they
No.
just sent an email.
I was just curious how, I mean, and
How it
all,
would be
it's not just
accepted.
this form, but any
Right,
of the
right,
other
right.
forms. They're out there, they're online, and parents can fill them in, but how then are they shared with the powers that be, the parties that are concerned with that? Is it something that they attach to an email and send?
They
it something
could.
that's-
I mean, I would think that if the parent has a good working relationship with the school and the building administration, they may feel comfortable of just saying, here's my form, I'm gonna pop in and talk to you when I come pick up Susie today at the end of school.
Okay, I just-
But I think the reality is, as the parent, if it's your beef, you need to go to the building principal. It's not the building principal's job to follow up with you, to be like, hey, I got this from you, and you know, what would you like? I just don't think that needs to be more burden on the principal. I think the parent, if they've got agreements, they're gonna wanna do the face-to-face, solve this for me now.
Do you think it should be on the form to say like you need to submit this in person, or something?
I
That's-
think
I'm
it
just
should.
Because
You know,
if I
okay, so
email
you
the
fill in the form, but what do you do with it? And, you know, it's like.
and
I
when
filled
you
it
send
in.
it, when you send it,
Well,
it doesn't
because
necessarily
some
mean they
people might
saw
think,
it that
well,
day.
it's there.
Right.
It's there.
Trust me, I know. I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because if the request has to be signed, dated,
Mm-hmm.
especially when advancing beyond, you
Yeah.
know, which it would have to be in person.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I
'cause-
think there should be somewhere on the form, please, you know, this,
Yeah.
at the end of step,
Like return it to the office.
yes.
yeah.
The office staff.
Well, no, I think if you have a grievance, you need to call the principal, because that's the building administration.
Generally, it's going to be the principal.
Yeah.
That they're gonna be filling this in.
Right,
for,
I mean,
generally.
it's true, because, well, at middle and, secondary, which is middle school, there's more administration than there is at the elementary. At the elementary, it's just the principal and the principal assistant or vice principal.
Mm.
There's just the two. I don't
I
think
mean,
it should be.
there could ostensibly be something, you know, and we want you to put that language in there for transportation. There might be somebody that has a beef against
True.
transportation or the food services. So it would be that administrator, that, because it's not gonna be principal. so we
Department
can't-
head, that's- yeah.
So we need to make sure it's the building administration.
Well, that
I
is.
mean, we're assuming that it's gonna be, it's, for the most part, it's gonna be a student, parent.
Right.
But parents, I mean, at the last board meeting, there was a gentleman that wanted to know, you know, what to do and how to do it, and no one could give him an answer. If he has a grievance against a bus driver, he needs to fill the form out and take it to the transportation
Mhm.
department
Mm-hmm.
and have that supervisor or that director, whatever the title
Mhm.
is, the head mucky
So
muck of
just-
transportation.
Do we need in there, instead of just building administrator, say department head
Oh, I see what you're
or
saying.
department supervisor?
Right.
In there, because we're assuming that it's always going to be school buildings, but it's not always going to involve. Wrong principal, wrong principal.
Thank you. Or department, supervisor. So we're Form 2, building administration, which is the principal or the department supervisor. Cause I don't think as the school secretary or the treasurer would, front office person, you know, you got a parent that comes in and has a beef, they shouldn't have to dump it on you. They need to take it to the principal, so.
Yeah.
Or in the transportation department, the little gal that answers the phones, she shouldn't have to be the brunt of the parent that's upset, it should be the department supervisor.
Well, they're gonna have to go through the gal at the front desk.
True, but.
Or the guy.
Yeah,
Not
the
necessarily.
person at the front desk for assistance in resolving the grievance. So the building administration shall investigate the, meaning principal or department supervisor.
Well, do you wanna put that in quotes, because you did it in quotes before?
Yeah.
If you just did that in quotes within the parentheses, then we'll know every time we say
Building
administration, that it's the transportation building administration, it's the department.
No, because
No.
if I put principal and department supervisor in quotes, then that's what I have to use in place of building administration. See, up here,
Uh-huh.
No, you
grievance.
said board of trustees, and that, so,
So
every
you
time
just
she
say, when
puts
every time you
board.
just say board, you know it's
Correct.
board of trustees.
Right. So here.
Okay, yes, that's
So it
the
would be
reverse.
the
That's
Well,
reverse.
right, and that's why I said meaning principal or department supervisor.
Okay.
To be inclusive of transportation or facilities or,
Mhm.
food service, whatever it is. File the grievance of their decision within 5 working days. If the party is not satisfied with the building administration's decision, the grievance may advance to step 3 by requesting the superintendent review the building administration's decision. This request, is on,
So could you just add to the bottom where it says,
But
the request must be signed, dated, and submitted to the superintendent within 5 working days of the building administration's decision, attached with Form 4120F or something incorporating 41.
Complete step 3 on
Yeah.
41F.
Oh yeah, something
41F.
simple,
Mhm.
so they know that it's all gonna be on the same form. Like you're just gonna take this paper trail with you.
Mhm. So.
am I doing what we were thinking?
Decision, which is under step 3 on policy form 4120F.
See here.
There you go.
Here's where my
There you
notes
go. Okay.
Okay. Okay, by requesting the superintendent review the building administration's decision, which is under, which is, included on the grievance form.
Form under step 3.
Well, no, it would be
Or
under
just-
step 2.
That's confusing.
Yeah.
Go back and forth. Because when they fill in step 2, they're actually just doing step 1 retroactively in step
Mhm.
2.
Right.
Because in step 1, they're just trying to keep it personal
Mm-hmm.
and there's no form.
Yep.
If they wanna go farther, then they go to step 2 and then they go back and retroactively fill in, okay, this is who I spoke to about this problem
Mhm.
and this happened. I'd like this to happen instead. And I'm taking it to the principal.
Right.
So it's still step 3 in the form. It should remain, the steps should remain the same. Because otherwise, if they're in step 3 but completing step
Yeah.
2 of the form, that's too complicated.
This has been a doozy.
Yeah, it is. It's, well, because it's grown into something more than just
Yeah.
words on paper.
Oh, I should have a form ready to go by next, policy meeting, and then, I'll also talk with the, principals and see if they have anything. And then we can click off that.
Okay.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah. Uh, Okay.
I could take out.
Yes. So then, if either party is not satisfied with the building administration's decision, you're gonna to step 3 by requesting the superintendent review the building administration's decision
Mhm.
on the grievance form. Is that too many words? Look up here.
I don't think so, because it delineates this is a ongoing process, and it's an ongoing form.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, they were giving 60 days at the incident? No,
Oh.
that's ridiculous. Maybe 5 days
Is it-
is too short, but 60 days is way too long.
Well, but 5 days is the time that administration or the superintendent has to act on it. The parent,
No.
that doesn't have any limitation on when they can fill in the grievance form. It's
Oh,
so
within
far.
that's how long they have to.
They're just,
For the incident, when the incident takes place, the parent has 60 days to
No.
file a grievance.
They're saying if a complaint is not resolved in step 1, the grievant may file a written grievance with the principal within 60 days of the incident.
Oh, yeah, that's way too long.
I mean,
that's a long time.
yeah, as a
Yeah.
teacher, you didn't know that 2 months ago something was wrong and now all of a sudden you have to remember that?
Yeah.
That's not, I don't think that's right.
But there's nothing here that says the parents have to file within a certain amount of time of the incident. There's nothing.
Correct, which, I mean,
We have to act on it within a certain time frame.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
But that's saying the parent has 60 days to do anything.
After an
This
incident.
says,
But that's
Nothing
after
to that.
step 1, cause this is step 2.
right, but it's still, even, the parent could be complaining
So they could meet with the
today
teacher
about
and then
something
60
that
days
happened
later
the
take
first
the
week of
first
school,
step.
if
Yeah.
they wanted to. You know, sometimes it takes them a while to get themselves worked
They're
up, I
giving
don't know.
them 30 days, the principal 30 days to resolve the grievance. And then 15 days for the superintendent to review.
Mm.
Well, okay, maybe 5 days is unrealistic, but,
Depending
I
on,
mean,
it depends very much on the grievance.
it does.
Very
Now,
much.
Yeah.
if it's from a, I guess, a counseling perspective, if a student is
Yeah.
aggrieved and feels that their teacher violated a policy but can't tell their parent and time has elapsed, well, that's a trauma response.
Yes, and
And
to say you
so-
should have brought it to me sooner is not an
Is not
okay
the answer.
response.
Mhm.
No. So then I think once the parent comes forward and says, hey, this happened to my kiddo 3 months ago or last year,
Mhm.
well, that doesn't mean we're just gonna be like, sorry, you're outside of the boundaries of
Yes,
the time
very true.
limit. I think we would have compassion and be like,
Mhm.
let me look into this, let me see what we can, how we can resolve this, let me find out. Now,
That would be an instance that it may take longer to.
Right.
The longer the time, more time has elapsed, it's gonna take a little longer to.
right, well, I mean,
figure
if
out
it's a
what
Title
happened.
IX violation, that's a whole
Mhm.
different
Yeah.
ballgame.
Yeah.
But I'm just, I mean, I don't know, policy-wise, what could happen to some, you know,
Yeah.
Johnny ate my cookies, I don't know. You know, he stole them out of my locker 3 months ago. Well, okay, then we need to look into this, because I know that they can go back and look at video and do, the grievance can still be addressed.
Mhm.
But I don't think we have the right to tell people, if you have a grievance, you have to come forward in
Yeah.
so many days. But I do think putting.
Once the process is started, then there should be time
There
frames
should be a
to
timeline.
Yeah, I.
So
that's
maybe
true.
a written decision from the principal should come in 10 days?
Yeah.
Get it solved now.
Well, in my mind, I'm thinking 1, but the truth is, they might have like 5.
Or, you know.
On
we
top
don't-
of everything else they're doing.
Exactly, you don't know what's on their plate at that moment or what they're navigating or dealing with.
Mhm.
So if we're like, yesterday, it's yesterday, and
Yeah.
they're like, I should have had so many things yesterday too, you know?
Yeah.
So let's prioritize. Is 10 sufficient or should it be 15? I mean.
I think 15 it's 3 full weeks of school. And they're not, I don't anticipate, I mean, I wouldn't expect that people would
Right.
let it, like, drag their feet. They're gonna try to get through it as quickly as they can.
I would think so as well, because, I mean, the principals are, or even building district supervisors, department supervisors. I think everybody's tries to stay on top of their
Yeah.
pile, you know, and they don't wanna drag things out.
That should say
You
15.
typed in 3, cause she was saying 3 weeks. And they give the super the same amount of time.
So we've got 30 days.
That's
Yeah,
wait,
that's a
no,
good time
we're
frame.
giving them 15 days, to get
Oh.
their decision. Maybe that could be 10. Or that gives them 2 weeks.
Well, and they do less investigating than the principal,
Right.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
okay, I was thinking that was the superintendent had that time.
No, that if you want the superintendent
That's
to
to do
review
something,
it,
okay.
then we can give them.
I would leave that at.
I would leave that at 5 then, yeah.
Okay.
If this is just them escalating it, then it should, I think 5 is good. Cause that's as simple as, I don't like your decision.
Right, and it's part of the form,
Mhm.
so.
There's
then we're just
nothing
gonna
more to
say, I
do.
want the
You just-
superintendent.
They're not
and-
repeating, they're not repeatedly filling out the form.
Correct.
They're just adding to it depending on
Correct.
Yeah.
the stage that they're at.
Okay, so then here
Here's
is.
30 working days to, for.
Okay. I just wanna make sure that, those are the right steps that Brooke would be taking. Now,
Should it be something that the superintendent will respond within 15 days? Because then, but if it's a Title IX, then it's a slightly, then somebody else comes in and.
right, right, cause it says if the, oh, it should be grievance.
No, there's no
Alleges.
complaint on the next line.
Yeah. Towards the end of the second.
So we can't get grievance.
So it can basically, it can be taken care of within 30 working days. Well, 35, depending on how long
They take to respond, they take to escalate it.
Yeah.
escalate.
Okay. So, step 3. Under step 3, I recommend reiterating that the board cannot make decisions in this grievance procedure that addresses personal matters and student disciplines, which are separately governed by processes outlined in the code of board procedures. That would be board policy. Upon receipt of the request for review, the superintendent shall schedule a meeting with the necessary parties. The parties shall be afforded the opportunity to either dispute or concur with the building administration's recommendation. The superintendent shall decide the matter within 10 working days of the meeting and shall notify the parties in writing of the decision. If either party is not satisfied with the decision, the superintendent, the board, the decision of the superintendent, the board is the next avenue for appeal. A written appeal must be submitted to the board within 5 working days of receiving the superintendent's decision. The board is the policy-making body of the school. However, and appeals to that level must be raised solely on whether or not policy has been followed. Should be has been violated, not followed.
Well, it says whether or not. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Any individual appealing a decision to the superintendent to the board bears the burden of proving failure to follow board policy. Okay, so she's saying here, going to the board cannot make decisions in this grievance procedure that address personnel matters and student discipline, which are separately governed by processes outlined by Idaho Code and board procedure. I think that can be its own statements sitting there. Yeah.
Do you want to say this grievance process, because we've been calling it process all
Yes.
through? Or the procedure in hers.
So the board cannot make decisions in this grievance process that address personnel matters and student discipline, which are separately governed by processes outlined.
We're just governed by Idaho Code.
Yeah, which are governed by Idaho Code and board
But
policies and procedures.
we can't make decisions. They're saying we can't make decisions on this process that's confusing. You can't make a decision on your policies, but because of board policy? That doesn't quite sound right. Maybe I'm not hearing it right.
Well, okay, so the board cannot make decisions in this grievance process, which is not actually correct. The board cannot make decisions that address personnel matters and student discipline, which are separately governed by Idaho Code and board policies and procedures. So this cannot make decisions, needs to go away. So the board cannot make decisions that address personnel matters and student discipline, which are separately governed by Idaho Code and board policies and procedures. What did we state
But
up here?
still saying you can't make decisions on board policy. To my
No,
mind.
it's because the board cannot make decisions that address personnel matters and student discipline. So the board cannot make decisions on personnel matters and student discipline, as those categories are separately governed by Idaho Code and board policies and procedures. The bottom line is up here where we stated, maybe we should just copy and paste this and put this back down here and we'll just say it twice. Let me see what it says and figure out how we can say it. Alright, so
Tied to personal, okay. The whole reason they're filing this grievance is because they're saying board policy has been broken in some way.
well, or the state or federal constitution or the state or federal laws. It's not just board policy.
Okay.
So bottom line is you can't bring a grievance about a personnel matter or a student discipline issue. That's not a uniform grievance issue. That's a different avenue we have to go down. So I think because what Megan's recommendation is just to reiterate. So what with her,
I think a lot of these grievances that are gonna be started in forms are not gonna involve policy necessarily. And at some point, it's gonna kind of fall out that, yes, this is this particular policy was violated. It just seems like this is
What?
gonna be utilized, well, it just seems like there's gonna be, people will have grievances that may
Right.
not necessarily be defined as this policy was violated.
But then that would be a different procedure. Which,
But, yeah.
right?
well, this is the uniform grievance policy. So basically, we're saying if you feel like your state or federal, the state or federal constitution, the state or federal laws, or board policy has been violated by anybody in the district, then you have the right to bring a grievance forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is personnel matters and student discipline, those don't go under a uniform grievance umbrella.
Mhm.
They go under something
Okay.
else.
Okay.
So then maybe we should keep the words in there that says by processes outlined by Idaho Code and Board Procedure.
Okay, so this is the paragraph we have up above, which states this policy does not apply to personnel and student
Mhm.
grievances, as those matters may result in due process hearings
Oh
and
yeah, I guess
decisions.
it's pretty redundant to have
Or
it.
student discipline
Right.
grievances. Because student grievances, what could, again, could those be? The students could be making having it, rather than their parents.
But since we already
Someone
have it
outside
in
it.
there one time, do we need to put it under 3 since it's all the same policy? And it's already written
Some
in.
things bear repeating.
Yeah, well, she's saying student grievances, cause I guess what I don't know how it would work is if, and maybe I'm not thinking this, cause we are after 7, so policy committee's technically over. We'll go ahead and stop recording. It is 7:03. We actually went a whole hour, even though I started late, we ended late, so we're gonna stop recording.